Authenticity is the most valuable currency online right now. Everybody wants the most real of the real of the real of the real version. But in my personal opinion, it all depends on the context of your life in your own personal life. But here's what nobody tells you. Total transparency, in a way, is its own performance. At some point, the real and the content version of your life starts to blur. And sometimes you don't even notice that it is happening until it already has.
Yes, absolutely. And Florence make these things even stranger than other places, because we say in Italian Firenze l'è piccina, that means Florence is really, really a little town, and everyone knows you even before you know him or her. So that's really interesting.
Exactly. So today we're talking about where that line is, what we share, what we protect, and what it might or may not cost to build something public in a city this small. Buongiorno, welcome. I'm Georgette Jupi. I'm a native Texan living in Florence, and
I am Valentina Dainelli, and I'm 100% from Chianti Classico e Chiantigiana.
This is Two Voices, a podcast about truth beyond the Dolce Vita. Here we are, and I think a really good starting point for this episode is to kind of talk a little bit with Valentina here. Our too much Tuscany, too much Florence, too much shopping, too much everything. Not enough everything, in my opinion. And a little bit about how you kind of came up with your concept of too much and, you know, Tuscany, and what you were looking for during that time.
Yes,
in regards
it
to
was
content.
2011. My son Eduardo was just 7 months old, and I lost my job for a web agency, and I decided to open Too Much Tuscany because of my love about Tuscany. I came back from UK because I wanted to live in Tuscany, and the concept of too much came from the fact that about Tuscany you find way too many contents, way too many
already
books.
back then.
Yes, already back then, and also because Tuscany is too much. I mean, you have from the Apuan Alps to the seaside, to the cave of marbles, to the one of the most excellent food in world. So definitely it's too much. Even for such a small region, you have a lot of too many things to do, to see, and to explore. So that's where the concept came out. And always the special Americans, what they say is, oh, Tuscany is never too much, cannot be too much. Yes, definitely Tuscany is too much if you want to explore Tuscany from the top to the bottom. And there is it's a never-ending story.
It's such a dynamic region. I think when I first moved here, like many Americans, I didn't realize all of the different opportunities that were here for all the kind of vacations you want. You want mountains, they got it. You want sea, they got it. You want marble quarries, you want Etruscan ruins, yes. You want Jewish settlements. Like there's so much packed in one region, and that's kind of an example of Italy as a whole, really.
Yes,
we just happen to be in the most central, one of the most popular areas.
I agree. Tuscany, as well as Italy, is much more than what you see on social media and what you probably have read in many guidebooks. I mean, that now they are old-fashioned. You know, something shocking I have to tell you.
Tell me.
So I was in class last week talking with my students, and I was telling them about branding. You know, okay, maybe you can analyze this famous brand of guidebooks, the one that you wrote for.
Oh, yes. That little tiny Lonely Planet.
Yes. Lonely Planet.
The little small
and you know what?
Brand.
They didn't know what I was actually talking about.
Are these American students?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
No, they are not Americans. They're Italian students that working in tourism. They want to work in tourism, and they never heard about Lonely Planet guides. So for me, it was shocking and was like, okay, the word is completely upside down right now.
What's right is left, what's up, what's down.
Oh my God, was so actually. And so Tuscany is so much that you have to write about. And I started writing about the places I grew up of course, but also places that I wanted to discover, because I'm a very curious person, and I want to explore as much as I can on every level. I'm an art lover, so on top is art related places, but then I also a very huge fan of beautiful landscapes. So I wanted something that I do randomly when I go to work. For example, driving, when I go to work I drive on a street, and then when I come back I always take a back street that I never drove through, so I can explore the surroundings and I can see other beautiful sceneries that are in Tuscany. That's how I explore Tuscany, not just on a plan, map, but I just drive where my heart goes.
Yeah. And you know, being from here, you have this depth of knowledge. Like just the Mugello itself has a plethora of historical villas and places to visit. Great tortellini. Tortelli, scusa,
That's tortelli di patate, and it's something completely different from the tortellini.
I know.
Okay, the shape, the filling.
Don't. The haters, please stop. Don't come after me for that.
Exactly, and that's how I started exploring the Mugello, and that's how I got the job for the Mugello Tourist Board. And for me, it was a pleasure to explore the area, to learn about the history, to learn about culture, to meet people. And that's why I started also sharing all these contents, because I loved what I was seeing. I loved what I was learning about. And there are so many cool places out there that are not on your bucket list. I'm sure about this.
Absolutely. And even the concept of a bucket list is so outdated now. Like, we shouldn't be ticking places off of a list. Like, it's okay to have a plan and want to visit so many places, but the world is more than just did that.
That's another social media related content. Oh my God, just to go there for a 2 seconds click on Instagram and say, I've been there.
Exactly. I saw something that really annoyed me about the other day, which was a trend that creators in the travel influencing world were doing. Another gem I found on Thread, where they were rating places 4 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 1 out of 10. And it was so wrong. It was obviously a trend that they were following, but it was also, again, meant to create this sort of controversy of like, well, I wouldn't go back here because, and it's okay to say I didn't like a place, but to use a numerical kind of rating system.
How did they put the value?
It would be like 4 slash out of 10.
But how was 4? I mean,
but that would be not very good. So
I mean, yes, I understand that. But how are you going to evaluate a place?
Off of 1 day, 2 days, 3 days.
Oh yes, right.
No, it's bad. It's just as bad as it sounds, guys. Don't do that, please. If you're a creator, don't do that. If it gets you 1 million clicks, it's not worth it, because you're not. That's good.
Horrifying. Can I say that?
Not okay.
That's horrifying. I will
send you some.
I didn't bump into this trend, and that's really horrifying. That's not why we are here. Actually.
No, we shouldn't do that. We respect places whether we like them or not, and we have to understand that it takes years to get to know a place. And you could share your perspective, and you could say, "I'm a first-time visitor," and I actually love when people say that, because people need to see new experiences. Like, we've been there, done that, but it's nice to see somebody's new experience. We just have to clearly state that, not be a judgy biatch, and just really kind of respect what we're trying to do there, the whole concept of sustainable travel. Like, think about the communities that are there and what you are doing when you say these things. And I'm thinking about, like, so I've worked also with companies or associations like Visit Tuscany, the Florentine, and written extensively about all different cities, places, went on so many blog tours. And actually, when I think back about one article that was one of my favorite articles to write, it was the best worst lunch I ever had in Tuscany, which sounds like I am one of those people trying to create controversy, but this is written so long ago, there was no trend associated with this.
Okay,
but I
can trust you on these.
But for me, it was about the people. So what made it the worst lunch was I was on a blog tour organized by the region. So, expectations are pretty high as far as finding authentic, beautiful places and restaurants and trattoria.
In general, you get also a very high service if you're out there for PR or blogging tours.
Of course.
Generally,
they're trying to showcase their best. They know you're going to be photographing it. You're going to be writing about it. So we were there in this tiny town, went into this restaurant, and there was one guy, must have been over, between 80 and 100. I'm not sure. He was the only person working there. Okay. And essentially we were all there just, okay, we're going to wait for our food. It was really strange. There was nobody else on in the restaurant. Never a good sign on a Saturday or Sunday. Mm-hmm. Usually those places are full and bustling. And all we could hear as we were waiting for our food was ding. And after a while, ding. And so we kind of just looked at each other like, what is that? And we realized that he was putting the food in the microwave.
No.
Yeah. So, and it's okay. I get you have to reheat food. You can't make everything fresh, but everything was in that microwave. Tripa. No. Think about eating tripe and things like that, which are historic. That's a historical food here. But microwaved?
That was a little bit too much,
microwaved,
right?
Dessert came out of a box, like one of those cheap confezione limone cake from penny market.
Yes.
Not even co-op.
We don't have anything against penny market.
Nothing wrong with it. I love it. I shop at the penny market
restaurant
sometimes.
Unless you say it.
But you're in a restaurant, so you expect a little differently. And it went from this kind of tension-filled atmosphere, but it actually broke the ice in the entire trip, and we love the guy. At one point he comes out with an accordion and he starts playing the accordion, and we're all just laughing because obviously it was ridiculous. Even the organizers of the trip were just like okay. But it made me think about not every experience is going to be positive. Yes. But for me, what was positive, his heart was in the right place. The food was terrible. It is what it is. But it was an experience I'll never forget, and it bonded us as a group. From that moment on, we survived accordion microwave tripe.
So that's something really, really good that happened. Actually, That's a good point, because it's something that right now we were also talking in the last episode about the frustration or the expectation that people have about everything, and they have just to blame everything because they didn't, the experience didn't go as they wanted, but also because they want to have the best experience ever, even if maybe they are not in the mood, they are not in the feeling.
Maybe it's raining.
Maybe it's raining and it's a bad day, like we are all meteoropathic. I don't know if you know this word, especially if you are Italian. You're used to the sun and the beautiful weather, and when after 14 days of raining, maybe you are not in a very good mood. So we should, sometimes divide from contents and decide when it's correct to, tell that you had a bad experience, but as you said, you can take the best out of it, or blaming about everything. Maybe that's not the right way of handling content creation sometimes, but as you say, and as we were saying, it's something that algorithms are going to tell us more to be controversial, and you are definitely being controversial to say something bad, for sure, but it's not my style. So I prefer to look at the glass full of water and tell you what's good about this. And maybe I can tell you also what I didn't like, but maybe it's because of my experience and I have a different taste. I have a different empathy and feelings. For example, there are a lot of different food that I don't like, but it's not because of the restaurant.
They're not bad.
Exactly. It's my taste.
And there are probably a lot of things in Florence that you don't enjoy either. When you think about content that has exploded in the past couple of years, for example, the wine windows. The wine windows. Brigata del Vino, no? So, and you have to think that before, I've been living in this city 18 years. I'm used to passing by the wine windows. Before, people would just leave their empty glasses, on a late night out. And it became this kind of thing. And I remember reading about it, writing about it. There was a woman, I think Robin Giesling, who wrote a whole book showcasing the wine windows in Florence. And it was always so interesting to me, this historical reference of, Renaissance families selling wine through these windows and with specific hours and parameters.
You know what's really interesting? That, for example, when they were selling their properties, they would have listed if there was a wine hole or not. Okay, that was interesting.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. I saw some, past advertising. I'm talking about early 19th century, and while they were, selling like a big palazzo with the winery, cellars, whatever, and an authorized wine window to sell wine. So that was something really popular and really useful for families. And it was spread out not only in Florence, but where all the Florentines noble families were, because you can find them all around Tuscany. Okay?
Yeah, it's not just exclusive to Florence, because I think there is that stereotype. Yes. I think too, those windows, especially during COVID, when we were here, obviously during COVID, they started being utilized in a way that wine windows were used in the past, right? So Vivoli was serving gelato and products through the wine windows. Yes. I think the original kind of explosion came from that restaurant Babè. And Via di Santo Spirito in that area over there.
And the other one in Piazza dei Peruzzi. I don't remember. They started reselling cocktails and wine glasses through their wine window.
Yeah, and so now you see, if you're walking around in Florence, it's become, it's been featured on documentaries, which, all that's good things. We want businesses to be supported. What we hate is seeing huge lines infiltrating tiny streets in Florence, but blocking other businesses.
Fake wine
windows.
Oh my God, the plastic or cardboard ones are terrible. Please stop doing this to Florence. Stop doing this for tourists, because this is not good for anyone, I think.
I mean, I'd rather people at this point, maybe I get wanting to see them, and I totally understand, I was entranced by them as well in the beginning, but maybe just find a little local wine bar, go to we have so many incredible wine bars in Florence that you don't need to go to these kind of kitschy wine windows and get like a spritz through there. It's not necessarily a Florentine drink. And but it kind of goes back to the whole like Tuscany content, what's being shown, what's being seen, the boundaries that we feel as creators. Think about it. We've both been in a world where we have loved writing and sharing about Tuscany, and the whole point was to find places that were a little bit less well known. And now we could arguably say, is anything? Everything's been found, guys.
So I have 2 points about this.
Yes.
The very first is also blocking me as too much Tuscany to write new contents and to explore new places and put them on social media because of my ethical part. So I'm not Chiara Ferragni, okay? I don't have hundred thousands of followers.
You don't like Pandoro that much.
No, I'm more into panettone right now. Okay, sorry. But the question is, if my content goes viral, or if I have a good amount of people that are going to follow my suggestion, what's the impact I'm going to have on this place? Is it going to be good impact, or is going to destroy the environment? So it's something that is really, really questioning into my mind, and that it's blocking me up totally. Not maybe because my ego, I have a superpower. No, because anyone right now with the rules that we have on social media can go viral for anything. Yeah. And so I have to think about the impact I will have.
And I also think TikTok has exploded with that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. For example, I'm going to destroy, let's talk about the schiacciata. It's all about food in Italy. So there was this Australian travel creator that went to this very remote and very small place in the Valdarno area, because his friends told him that there was a very good schiacciata, this Tuscan bread that is flat, and it's pairing perfectly with ham and cheese. Okay, it's our merenda, it's our snack. And he went there. His TikTok went viral. It was saying that that's the best schiacciata ever in Tuscany. And my God, right now it's so impossible to get there, and it's one of the best schiacciata that you can have, but it's not the best in Tuscany. And you can say for me, it's the best schiacciata
exactly. You could say, I think this for me.
But maybe you have been to 2 places in Tuscany.
Yeah.
So how you can decide that is the best? You can trust your friends that are saying, "Oh, for us it's the best," but because they are from the area. But you are saying something that it's not true for sure. I mean, for you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But then you go viral, and now it's impossible for the locals to get the schiacciata. That is not the good schiacciata they used to be, because the old owner died, and of course the new baker is a good guy, is doing a very good schiacciata, but it's not the best. Yeah. Okay, and it's not the one that used to be the best. Okay.
Well, that's the tough part, is wanting to share what you love and then also realizing the impact. And I completely agree. I've had this discussion with influencers or other content creators in Italy and beyond about, what about asking the places, how do they feel about us coming in and doing that? And of course, you could always say it's positive, it's advertising. But I'm also a big believer of not just following the trend and going for the same place that everyone else is mentioning. And it's like, what about spreading that same energy towards other businesses as well? And also thinking and involving them in that process, so that, again, it's less about you as the main character and more about the concept of all the different schiacciata, in all the different places, and what makes it special. Is it, let's deep dive into the details of the bread, the yeast, how it's, how it's made. What about the ingredients? The source, exactly. The water is so important. The ingredients, and then that to me gives more, viable, context to why something is really good. Is like going into the food sciencey part of it, Yeah,
well, I think there are a lot of good contents, for example, out there. Especially the one of Curious Appetite that we both know, or Memento Martina,
Curious
about
Appetite and Martina are amazing.
Other panino that you can have in Florence beyond Antico Vinaio. And we don't have anything against Antico Vinaio. I used to go there when I was a little child, especially in the, not in the schiacciata shop, but in the other restaurant that they had. And they used to have very good food. Now, they are no longer doing it because the schiacciata took over.
Yes, schiacciata is all.
And it's a good it's a good spanino. It's a good schiacciata, but it's just something that is trending on TikTok or on social media, and you're going there just because to take a picture.
Take a picture of the affogato of Vivoli at the schiacciata.
Yes, we talked about Vivoli in the very first episode. And you know that I love Vivoli.
Yeah, me too. But
that's why I blame people lining there, because I want my gelato back.
I just think that if you're so successful and then you have all of these, you've done so well for yourself, you also owe it to maybe the city to make sure people are throwing their trash away, and maybe you provide a bathroom and all that kind of stuff, because
this
when you become
for
viral, exactly,
he's doing really good. Yes,
so as long if you're kind of managing that line better, there's a million other places, and luckily there are a lot of curious people out there that are looking for other alternatives and are really looking to not live the viral version of Florence, because right now what we're seeing is all the same Z content of these are the best bars, these are the best restaurants, everybody's trying to share the same things, which is fine, but it just becomes this deluge of copying the same thing over and over again, and
let me show you the 5 hidden places in Florence. My God, that's
hidden. The second you see hidden, you're like, no, it's not hidden anymore.
God,
it's now been found. And this kind of goes to what we really wanted to talk about here, is about boundaries and how you decide what you want to protect in terms of sharing content or in your own personal life. So, Valentina,
yes.
When it comes to boundaries and what you protect in this realm, how do you do that?
So, for example, yes, I have a side of my life that I don't tell because I want, for example, to protect my son. It doesn't, it didn't ask to be on social media. It didn't ask to be too much Tuscany's son. And actually, a year ago, he went under surgery. It was really, really a tough moment for us as a family, but above all for him as a teenager, because he had to get a tumor removed, and it was really hard not to report, not to talk about this with anyone, but because I wanted to respect him. He had the right to be a regular teenager and not showing him off and what we were going through. And actually, you know what's the funny part or the worst part? I was really, really protecting him also from his the other friends. So I wasn't showing off in the little town we were living that he was going through this. I was just saying that he had to go under surgery. It was something that he needed to take care. He had a long recovery in front of him. And I was addressed by other moms that I was hiding things. I wanted to keep the secret.
As if they have a right to know.
Yes. And they came to me to say this. And I was like, no, I don't have any secret. If you come to me, I will tell you. But I'm not going into the square and yelling to everyone that Eduardo has a tumor and he needs to go under surgery, because he has the right to be considered a regular guy. And the other, when you know that he had a tumor, you change like this, looking at him like, oh, this poor teenager, this poor guy. And he didn't want this. He fought so hard to get back well soon. I was amazed, about how strong he was, because he wanted to go back to his regular life without having the people in front of him looking at him saying, oh, this poor guy. No, I'm unlike the other. You don't have to look at me like this. So why I had to tell everyone in the town that he was going under this? It was his right. I was protecting him, and I was protecting his right to be, to
his privacy.
Yes, to his privacy.
He was able, to share his story in his own time.
Yes, in its own time. And still is fighting with this. For example, he doesn't want to show off his scar. Of course, it's a very huge scar. He's taking care of it, but he wants to wear, long pants, long dress, because he doesn't want to show off, because otherwise he has to
explain.
Yes, and doesn't want to. He's not ready for that, and it's my duty to protect him and to protect his privacy. So that's why I didn't, for example, share on social media or share even in my friendship. If you were coming to me, or if you're coming to me, of course I'm open to talk about it. But for example, this is something that we don't see online. Right now, everything is becoming a show. Of course, probably we are too old, and I will never get on camera crying or
I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna call a friend and cry, and it's not
so
very natural to put your camera on yourself when you're crying.
Yes. So for example, that's the boundaries that I gave myself to protect my family, because they have the right to protect their privacy. So I have to ask them if they want to be with me on social media. And that's something really important for me. And that's the same for people that are not on my social media. I don't take pictures when there are other people, or unless I can ask for them if they want to be in this picture.
I mean, that's a good boundary to have. I see a lot of people walking into restaurants or bars or places, and they're like photographing and videoing it, and it's just so obvious, which is fine. I mean, I get it. You're excited about a place you want to share, but I always try to kind of go in a place and say, va bene se faccio la foto or la video. Chiedi, you have to ask, and be,
that's respect.
And then it's a respect thing. And I get, and I'm a naturally shy person, so I understand how hard that can be, especially in another language. But I really recommend to people, ask people's permission before you video them. Don't sneakily do it. It looks obvious. I mean, it's obvious anyway, so you can tell that it's happening. And I'll say, like, on a personal level, when it comes to boundaries and protecting, I have a lot more boundaries than I used to, for sure. Mainly because of age, like just what you were saying, is really looking back and seeing the impact of, like I mentioned in the first episode, about how I didn't expect the whole Lonely Planet San Frediano thing to blow up as it did, but it was a wake-up call for me to kind of go, wow, I mean, luckily mostly positive, but not only. I mean, I had to deal with critics on that too, which is fine. It's totally fair. I'm willing to listen. I live in this city. I pay taxes in this city. I consider myself a Florentine, but I think that when it comes to places and showcasing places for now, I'm extremely careful, and I always ask, is this something you want? How would you like to be portrayed? Let's do this together. This is not the Georgette show. This is not Georgette needs this content, so I blow up. This is like I'm part of a community, and I want them to feel that. And I feel that is like a long tail approach, as opposed to just kind of this hit it and quit it. Let's get as much content, and then hopefully my own channel is going to grow. That means only me benefits, and maybe they go viral, but what does that mean too? Just as you were saying. And when it comes to the family stuff, I agree completely. You know, my husband's pretty private. You know, he has a quote unquote normal job. but he loves and celebrates everything that I've ever done. Number one supporter on the planet. And when it comes to my daughter, for example, I mean, I've shared photos here and there, but I don't even think about using her in any capacity for content, because no. And it's a personal decision, I mean, I have my close friends list, and I send them updates of her and videos and things like that, and I love to share, so it's a natural thing to want to do, and it's part of your life.
It's a natural thing.
It's a natural thing to want to do. I just you become aware that it is a little odd if you're out in the center and somebody hey, I know you, and then I love talking to people, but I noticed that when I had my daughter, I became much more aware of what that looks like, because obviously for her, if somebody was to recognize her, she wouldn't know who they are or where they're coming from or why they're talking to me. So it's always a conversation. So that's why I don't personally like to put her all over my channel. I talk about what it's like to be a mother, what it's like to be a wife, what it's like to be part of a community, but leaving those personal details or putting your face out there to everybody, I think is really important as well, just from like a safety perspective.
That's why we are poor.
That's why we are poor.
Well, but that's another issue about all these child influencers.
Well, look at the Ruby Frankie documentary, and
oh my God.
I don't know if you saw that, but that's
I didn't see that, but I read many articles.
Evil
about
influencer on Netflix.
Yes, absolutely. I read articles and
family bloggers,
and oh my God, that was terrible. Yes,
I just don't think. I mean, I think that if I was to even attempt to try to make her part, I mean, knowing my girl, if I try to make her part of anything, she'd be like, nah. I'm gonna say the thing. I mean, it's just not natural, right? If you want to do it, that's on you.
No, you brought to this table the natural part. Sorry, but I have to say this. I'm really a huge fan of this real morning routine as a mother of 4. And how can it be real if you're waking up and you have your phone recording you on a tripod at 6:45 and you start your routine, and then you look at the camera, oh, it's a 6:45 and I'm getting ready for church. How is that real? How is that real?
But the thing is, Valentina, people like to watch those videos.
People want
exactly. So it's like we're all hypocrites here, by the way. That makes me think about. So I want to share this Substack that I was reading. It's called Smoke a Vogue by Sasha. Really interesting. It was really interesting. So her central paradox is all about wanting to build something that requires visibility while longing for invisibility, which I think we were just talking about before. This. And, I think both of us can long for that. Sometimes we want to be invisible in one set, but we want our content to be visible.
That's when my brain crashes. Exactly. That's my life. I want to be visible, but invisible. That's why you don't see me on social media.
Exactly.
Generally.
Well, and now they're seeing you a little bit. This is a little window. But she also has she said this thing that I thought was really interesting. She was saying that creators hope consumers never start creating because attention is finite. Does that feel? Have you ever thought about that? That now if everybody wants to be a creator and everybody wants to share their story, there's only so much time you have to watch or listen to all of this, and how does that?
That's why TikTok went viral while we became the real old videos society. It's because we need this social content, these contents to fill our spare time. And that's the terrible side of it. Yeah. Because we cannot get bored. We always need to do something because we are the performance, society. And that's why we need this crap because we need to fill our black holes with useless sometimes, with useless contents. But I mean, I also one of the, I'm very eager sometimes to get watching TikTok. They get ready with me, or maybe I'm really into the fridge organization, the restock, the American restock that you have, because for us it's not the same. So you see these 5,000 grocery shopping for 1 week with all these cans that are.
That's because they're stocking for the end of the world. It's like basically,
I don't know why. Every week they do 5,000.
There's a lot of people. I'm from America and I'm from the South, so I know this very well. It's kind of like having a room in your house where if the world decides to go into full chaos, you have food stocked for so like you're predicting the end of the world.
Is this real?
Yeah,
they're making it
not
for
everybody
real?
But there are people that do that. There are plenty of people who do that. Yes, this is a real concept. I'm into cults, so in case anybody is interested or wants us to do an episode on that, we can absolutely deep dive.
I'm shocking because I thought it was just for camera. We are getting
but there is at least in the U.S. and I think not just U.S. but there is this overconsumption thing. It's like I know you've seen it too, where people are especially if you think about every we're lucky we have Tuscany and Florence as a backdrop for creating any content. So there's so much. But imagine you live in the middle of nowhere, Utah, or where I'm from in Texas. So the content becomes your everyday life. So then you see these people who are doing those like authentic day in the life of, and then you also see them like stocking their grocery hauls, and they've also bought organizers on Amazon or wherever,
of course,
to put all of it in. So it's just like buying more stuff to then put more stuff away, and then you're like, are they eating this stuff? How does that work? And first of all, my first thought when I see that is, wow, you have a lot of money. That's got to cost a lot. And then two, that's a lot of time, I mean, it's just, and I get that they're trying to optimize. They think they do it now, it's going to be easier later. But it goes back into just people seem to like to watch people's daily routines. So maybe we need to look at ourselves about like why we're doing that.
Yes, that's
like what's the mindset there?
That's completely true. And something that is making me crazy. Sorry, but I have to say it's the sustainability part of this. Why do you drink as American so many cans and so many bottles of water? I mean,
now people have Stanley Cups, the big.
Why do you have so many Stanley Cups then? Because it's
apparently we're all dehydrated, But I grew up also in the 90s and the 2000s, right? I'm 1984 baby, so I didn't touch any water until about 4 p.m. that day. We had like the little fountain that nobody, in those days it was kind of like, okay, you get up for school, you might have some cereal, and then you go to school. Nobody was thinking about hydration is what I'm trying to say. And now
you're overhydrated.
We basically could float away on the Arno with how much water we drink. And so
yes, and I'm really amazed about these. Why are you doing this?
What we've been told that hydration is extremely important for your skin, for your health. It's like a whole.
But you don't think about the sustainability of this.
No, I think people do care about the sustainability, but they're the ones that care and the ones that don't, right? So there's plenty of people that use that single use, and there's a lot of people that actually do just refill their water bottles. So I mean, it again depends on your algorithm, Valentina, because we're all being filtered into what. Well, we got to talk about why you're watching this.
No, yes, that's probably. I need to talk to my doctor about this.
Well, you know what I was thinking about before, because we were talking about confessions and people sharing their opinion, because it goes back into kind of just this original discussion. And I was looking at the concept of like radical honesty, which is the idea that in an era of constant scrutiny, confessing first is like a branding strategy. So just kind of like constantly having that need to really be like, well, I'm going to share what my vulnerability. It used to be that you would, at least on a personal level, I've shared some really hard things that I've gone through in my life, like baby loss. And that was really hard. And I thought about that, that was like a whole part of a healing journey in a sense. But I couldn't imagine making everything about vulnerability and making every post about some kind of lesson or Mel Robbins-esque type of advice, because I just feel like not every moment warrants that, Yes. And now there feels like this kind of push towards this radical honesty. And, how transparency, but then it also doesn't always feel authentic, and
so how can you be transparent if you have a camera recording you while you are crying, for example, or you are saying something very honest. So we go back to the Ferragni episode. That's something that was really
I can't get away from that.
Yes, because she had a script and she was crying over camera, but everything was already set. So the authenticity part was not there. She was faking it.
Yeah, I definitely think that there is something to be said about earning the right to be honest. Like, I mean, your work over a period of time is what's going to showcase who you really are. And, especially if you're working in the content creation world. In Tuscany, I think it's just the same. There's a lot of incredible creators out there that are really doing quality content, and we should celebrate them. And on a personal level, I've always wanted to kind of write and share and talk about all those people, and it changes, of course, with time, because people come in and people come out. But there are a lot of people who are really thinking about all these same questions we are, about sustainability, about trying to drive an awareness towards a Florence or a Tuscany that we want to see preserved. Like, let's enjoy the art, but not just the Uffizi. Let's enjoy restaurants, but not just this one. Let's enjoy the Schiacciata, but not just Antico Vanaio. And not about just creating something that blows our content up and makes us a more valuable workhorse, but also just what are we leaving behind? Like, what is the goal here? Because I always think about that with anything. When we're writing or blogging or, taking videos or doing this, what is the point? Why should people listen, read?
Me. What I do, yes.
What makes us different and special? And, we have a lot of experience. We care. We are, not these perfect people who do things in a very, manufactured way. I mean, as you can see, it's probably could be better.
We are not too much aesthetic.
We're not too much podcast yet, guys. This is literally
But yes, that's a good point. Raise awareness on how we can make better content to preserve or to have a good impact.
Exactly.
On the places that we are talking about.
And what does that look like?
Good point.
Maybe going into the historical context, deep diving, involving people in there, and we need to stop confusing visibility with value. And that's
another good point. It's that they both start with V, but
they both start with V.
It's completely different meaning and impact on the way that we are doing things, and on how we live a city, how we live a place as resident, as tourist, as expat, as whatever, as human beings, I can say.
I think that's it.
Cose a caso, random things that we like to talk about. So, what do you do when you want to switch off from this world, from Tuscany, from Florence, for travel, content creation, and all the topics we have talked so far?
So my dirty little secret, that kind of thing. I always say that. I have dirty little secrets of, whether you like watching Nico and I, for example, love to watch 90 Day Fiance, which is terrible. It's a reality TV show in America.
I do it on my own.
Can you please come over and watch it with me?
Please. I would love to. I
want to open a bottle of wine and order some Indian food.
See, please.
And I want to watch 90 Day Fiance and crack open, because I'm in an intercultural relationship. I live abroad. I know it's all weird and messy and it's reality TV, but I need to switch off from the doom and gloom of the world.
Yes.
And I need to dive into the other people's lives and bad decisions.
Yes.
And just kind of watch it unveil. I mean, so between 90 Day Fiance, which is my, relationship in a nutshell, and not like 90 Day Fiance, but what we love to do in our spare time. Actually going to do that on Saturday night. 90 Day Fiance and some Indian food. And I'm very into cults, and especially anything regarding polygamy in that world.
Okay,
I'm
that's
very fascinated. I want to learn. I'm all about extremes. I like learning about it, reading about it, understanding what makes people interested in these worlds and these communities. So every book I can read about it, every documentary I can watch about it, I'm all about it. And what about you?
So I have something very similar that it's the Italian Uomini e Donne first. That is a show where you...
We're equally as trashy. I love it.
Yes, I love it. When I have to detach my brain, I put on just a TV show like that. I love it. It's been over,
the scratchy smoker voice.
Yes.
Yes.
Maria De Filippi.
Maria De Filippi.
Of course. And you go there to find your love. Exactly. So that's the very first one. And generally, I put it on while I'm doing dishes or, I'm cleaning and everything. Otherwise, if I'm on the sofa and I want just to detox from my bubble, I go on TikTok. And I see what's going on as the drama, because we have major dramas going on Italy TikToks about TikToker. They're fighting each other and they're going live to blaming on the others because she said that and I did that.
It's radical honesty in full
Oh my God.
There you go.
Yes, that's a perfect, Italian culture summary, and then you have all these accounts that are summarizing and bringing
Isn't that the beauty of it, guys? When you think about all of this, right? You see all this mess on social media or articles, and then you have everybody else whose just job is to summarize it.
Yes,
We're
please,
probably part
thank
of
you.
that. Sorry. But it is kind of funny how it's all like this own content machine is just a resharing of what...
It's a resharing, just, bringing out this very short moment when she said that. So after that, they're going live, talking about hours about this little frame because she said that. And I'm going really crazy into it. I'm just jumping from one short to the other. I'm not into live, so I don't go live seeing what they are fighting, but I love to rewatch them. Yes, live was scary. We talk about this because that's the scary side of TikTok.
Yeah, I don't watch the lives, and you guys can maybe tell me more in the comments about if I should be investing in there. I kind of pop in TikTok maybe once a week. I'm not a good TikToker in that sense, but I do enjoy watching some of the stuff on there. It has some great content, of course, but it can be a slippery slope of taking your attention away that I personally can have a problem with at times.
Yes, that's where it's the famous rabbit hole.
Different than TV, I can press pause and it's not reloading. I mean, not depending on what you're watching, but
yes,
TikTok drama, 90 Day Fiance, Indian food, wine. Let's make it happen.
Yes, we'll do it.
Okay. Ciao.
Ciao, a presto.
So that's it for this episode of Two Voices No Filter, talking truth from Italy with me, Georgette
and Valentina Dainelli.
You can find us on Instagram. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a review because it genuinely helps more people find us. And we'll be back soon with more of the conversation that not many other people are having.
Grazie mille. A presto.
A presto.